Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle here to cover more interesting and exciting things about everything Corvette. Today's topic, we're going to talk about tips for Corvette buying season, which we are fast approaching. Before we get into that though, if you would take the time to like, subscribe, recommend us to a Corvette friend, and if I really have saved you money or helped you out of a jam, throw a tip on the super thanks. Buy me a cup of coffee or a beer or something. Maybe a beer, you know? You never know. Thank you in advance. As far as today's video goes, I want to cover some of my buyer and seller tips as we get into prime Corvette buying season. As spring gets ready to sprung, everybody starts thinking sports car, summer driving, and for people like us, that means thinking about a Corvette. There are certain things that I talk to all of my customers about, my car friends about, when it comes to buying and or selling a Corvette. Corvettes are very specific in the market because there is a very well-established value for Corvette, and it doesn't waver much. Now, what a Corvette seller thinks his car is worth and what the Corvette market actually says his car is worth can be drastically different numbers, but it's rare to find a Corvette that is drastically underpriced, okay? You know, when you're dealing with something more obscure like a 65 Buick Riviera, who knows what that's worth? It's worth whatever they're willing to pay for it. Corvettes tend to have more of a blue chip stock value that is more or less set. That said, first thing, if you're going to start looking to buy a Corvette as a buyer, is you need to do your homework. You know, watching informational videos like the ones that we make or that other sources on the internet have. So you want to narrow down what generation Corvette you're looking for. Do you want an older car? Do you want a more modern car? Do you want something you can drive every day? Is fuel mileage important? Things like that. Once you settle on a C1 through C7, talking used cars, that's when you can start really focusing in on what values are, what options added what value, what not to buy, what to avoid, things like that. And I'm always willing to help you with that stuff. But, you know, I've got a couple hundred videos talking about things like this. So that's where you want to do some research and really educate yourself, learning about the specifics of the car, and go online and look. I'll tell you what, the best place to do this, go to eBay. Pull up the year Corvette you're looking for, okay, or within 2 or 3 years of that generation, and scroll down on the left-hand side and get to sold items and click on that, because you're going to see what these cars actually sold for, not what the asking price is, not what the beginning bid is. These are actually finished sales in the last 30, 60, or 90 days. That, to me, is one of the best ways to determine what that car should be worth today when somebody walks in to write a check for it. So eBay, sold items only when you're looking for Corvettes for sale, right? All right, so as the Corvette buyer, you need to do your homework first. Similarly, if you're looking to sell your Corvette this spring, you too need to do the same exact homework to determine what the actual value of your car is. A couple of things that the seller needs to understand. Maintenance history and all the things you've done to keep that car healthy maintain the value of the car. They do not add to the value of the car. So if you've got a $20,000 Corvette that the market today says that car should be worth right around $20,000, and you've recently done a front engine kit, a torque tube, tires, and all this stuff, and spent $8,000 on it, that does not make your car worth $28,000. It makes your car worth a solid $20,000. Because the market price, average market price for that car today kind of relies on that car being whole, complete, functional, and everything working as it should. If you're selling a car that needs stuff like a torque tube or a front engine kit or tires, then you're going to necessarily have to account for that when you lower the price from the norm, the median price. You can't add maintenance to it. Similarly, sellers, if you have a bunch of custom work done to your car, that does not necessarily improve the value of your car. Now, let's say you have a 2008 LS3 coupe, okay? And let's say that it is supercharged professionally. It's got custom suspension, custom wheels, a wide body kit, and a custom spoiler on the back, and it looks awesome, and it's got all the paperwork with it. To a select group of Corvette buyers, that car is going to have a higher value than a base 2008 Corvette. However, if you have a giant Technicolor image of the Virgin Mother painted on the hood, that, however, as much as you love it and as important as it was to you, is probably going to hurt the value of the car from a regular 2008 Corvette. Point being, certain customizations can add value, certain customizations can take away value, and as the seller, you need to have in your head that that is the case and look around and educate yourself before putting a price on the car. Back to the buyer. You've done your homework now. You are ready to go out into the world and start actively looking at cars because you know what you want and you know what you should have to pay. First piece of advice after homework, leave your emotions at the curb. This is the hardest part. Homework's easy, research is easy, all of that stuff's ready available. You can't fall in love with the first car you see because you're going to make an irrational decision based on emotion. And I mean, we all love these cars. This is an emotional purchase, but you have to kind of tamp that down when you go in to bargain on a car because you want to pay for what the car is, not for how it makes you feel. Very, very, very important. And it is the hardest part, and it's going to take practice. If you aren't used to going out and bargaining for cars, it is so hard to learn to steel yourself, to put your emotions aside and deal with the facts and the business at hand. But you will get a better deal and a better car for it. For both buyers and sellers, starting price does not set the value of the car. Starting price is what the buyer would like to get for the car. Now, sometimes that's outrageously high, in which case you can probably bargain him down. Sometimes it's low, but never, ever, ever go look at a car where someone says, I don't know what I want for it. You're wasting your trip. Because if you make an offer on that car, all you're doing is setting a baseline price for them to go to the next guy, and if that next guy says he'll pay $500 more, boom, you don't get the car. Believe me when I tell you, the seller knows what he wants for the car, at least in general terms. If you go up to him and say, all right, you know, you've told me you have your car for sale, how much do you want for it? I just don't know. Okay, I'll give you $500 for it. That's ridiculous. Okay, so you do know what the car is worth, okay? So let's work from there and at least give me a window to work with. Because if you don't know, if they can't tell you the price of the car, it's not, you're wasting your time to go look at it. The seller has to set the starting price. No matter how crazy high or low it is, they have to set it before you as the potential buyer can go in and make a reasonable offer. A car's value is only what someone is willing to pay for it today. A lot of people quote Kelley Blue Book numbers. Kelley Blue Book exists as a guideline on what banks are willing to loan on a car, not what the car is worth. Now, banks make their money by loaning you money and charging interest on it, especially today where interest is higher than it's been quite some time. Do you think that they would overvalue a car to lend you more money to make more interest? The bank. Yeah, they would. And when somebody quotes KBB to me saying, you know, they're selling a car and, well, Kelley Blue Book says it's worth $32,000. And I say, okay, great. Call Kelley Blue Book, have them send you a check. Oh, well, Kelley Blue Book doesn't buy cars. Exactly, they don't. They set a high value for loans because that's what the banks want to see. So, that Kelley Blue Book, it can be used as a very general guide, but don't ever believe it to be to the dollar what that car is worth because they have a vested interest in making it an inflated amount. Buyers. If a car is priced well below what your homework has told you should be a median value for that car, one of two things is happening. Either that car has a story to it that isn't in the basic ad that you're going to find out later, like, oh, it's a salvage title, or oh, this car has not the original engine, it's got a 4-cylinder Poulan in it. Something like that. So anytime a car is ridiculously cheap, you want to carefully probe the buyer for, okay, well, tell me more about the car. Get as many details as you can. Ask about the title situation. Ask about drivability. Ask about AC. Ask about all that stuff. You don't want to tell them, hey, this is too cheap. Why is this so cheap? No, just ask some questions that will fill in the blanks for you. The second situation where a car can be too cheap is where the owner doesn't have an emotional attachment to it, or for whatever reason just needs it gone. Okay? I just bought another car. I only have a 1-car garage. This one's got to go. It needs to go this weekend because my new car is being delivered at the dealership in 3 days. Now that situation is very different. You're still going to have to do your homework. You're still going to have to take a good look at the car. The thing is, if this is a $20,000 car and this guy is asking 15, you're already $5,000 less than what you know the median value should be. And as long as the car doesn't have any of the aforementioned stories that I just spoke about, and the situation is the owner needs it gone, do not go in and say, well, best I can do is 10. Because you're going to insult the guy, you're not going to end up with the car, and there's a good chance you're going to get punched in the mouth. He knows that he's selling it too cheap because he has a reason and an impetus to do so. He's discounting it to move it quickly. So take that into consideration when you go to bargain for the car. And if you like the car and it is 20%, 25% or more less than the asking price, the nominal median price for that car in the market, buy the car and just don't try to beat them up. Don't be the guy who believes that any price that is put out for the car is too high and I'm going to beat up from there, otherwise I just won't buy the car, because if I can't get a deal, I don't need it. You're already getting a deal, but you only know that if you've done your homework previously. Beware of sellers who know the value of the car is $20,000 and they're asking $30,000, okay? If you haven't done your homework, you're going to say, well, I'm going to lowball them at $25,000. And you'll get the car, but you'll end up paying $5,000 too much because you didn't educate yourself first, okay? The starting price is the starting price. It is rarely the finishing price. And you need to know the basics so that you get the best deal possible and the seller releases the car happily. Basically, oh, one other thing, get an inspection. Don't buy a car that you haven't had on a lift. Don't buy a car that you haven't had a full workup done on. It's a couple $100 to have it done. Yes, you're going to have the rigmarole of having the car transported to the shop to have it done. Cheapest insurance you will ever buy, guys. Cheapest by far, because it can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. Get an inspection. So those are my buying tips for my Corvette season buying and selling tips for buyers and sellers moving into the hot Corvette buying and selling season. If you guys have additional things that you think I should cover on this topic, I'll do a follow-up video, put them in the comments below, and I look forward to reading them. You guys have a wonderful weekend and happy hunting.